39-year-old Georgina Hawes weighs 19.5 stone. 14 years of overeating has put a massive strain on her body.
I don't go to the toilet very much, maybe once a week. There could be weeks where I don't.
She's in trouble and as a last resort has turned to the diet doctors for help. They found out about the huge quantities of foods she's been eating, both at normal meal times and in secret. But it's not only her eating habits that are the problem. Losing weight boils down to one crucial equation: calories in versus calories out. To measure her activity level, George has been fitted with a special pedometer and she's also been keeping a food diary. According to her diary, George consumes 14,500 calories a week and is only burning off 1,400. But Vicky's not convinced that she's telling the whole truth.
I don't think you've written down everything on your food diary, because if in 6 days you've consumed 14,500 calories, I consume 12,000 calories in 6 days. And there is a slight difference between my size and your size. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me whether you actually wrote down everything that you ate in those 6 days.
I think I did. You know, I mentioned everything. No.
No.
Okay.
What was the given one?
The midnight feast for the whole week, I think.
Right. So that didn't get on there at all. That sometimes up to a pound of cheese didn't go down on the food diary.
And there was a reason for that. I was actually creating the diary at home.
And you didn't want your husband to see?
No.
The extra omitted calories from her midnight feasts take George up to a weekly calorie intake of 19,300. So to put that in perspective, if Georgina wanted to stay at 19.5 stone and not put on any weight, she could only afford to eat half a pie a day and nothing else. But if she wanted to keep eating the same amount of calories, she'd have to swim continuously for 26.5 hours just to burn off the excess. The diet doctors will be finding out what's causing George's health problems with a series of tests and examinations. But first, they want to show her just how much damage her unhealthy diet is doing to her body. The health of the digestion is the base of all health. As Georgina regularly suffers from constipation, her diet is putting a huge strain on her body. Using a pig's stomach, Wendy demonstrates how things should work in a normal digestive system.
The stomach is the place where you start your digestion, okay? And that's what it looks like. And it's basically got 3 sets of muscles. So you end up with a sort of washing machine effect going on in the stomach like this, okay? And that starts your digestive process.
Now, when your food leaves the stomach, it's actually been mushed up into a liquid and it enters the small intestine. This is your small intestine. Why don't you pull it towards you? Because there's 8 meters of it. And it's all coiled up in the abdominal area.
And that's really absorbing your minerals, absorbing your fats, absorbing your protein, absorbing your carbohydrates. All of that is going on in different sections of that small intestine.
After leaving the small intestine, waste that's left over then enters the colon or large intestine, where the body gets its last chance to absorb the water and minerals into the blood, leaving behind solid waste product. When the muscles of the colon are sluggish, it absorbs too much water and the stool becomes hard and dry, resulting in constipation. Wendy wants to demonstrate just how dangerous constipation can be.
You've got a loaded colon. It's filled with this stuff. It's getting thicker and thicker and gooier, stickier and stickier, so it's getting harder and harder to get it out. And it's starting to look a little bit like this. And it's just very difficult to get it out. Look at this stuff coming. And what I also want to tell you is that while it's sitting there trying to get out, all those bacteria, of which there is more than 10 million in your colon, are all continuing to what we call putrefy. It's like a sewage system that's going on in your colon. And that's getting reabsorbed back into your body instead of getting pushed out of your body. And that's one of the reasons you're feeling so awful. The long-term risks of having this sewage putrefying bacteria staying in your colon is you'll have much more increased risk of irritable bowel, of inflammatory bowel disease, and in fact bowel cancer.
Wow.
The average Briton moves their bowels 8 times a week, so to improve your bowel health, make sure you take regular exercise, drink 2 litres of water a day, and eat 25 grams of fibre. That's 1 bowl of porridge, 4 helpings of mixed vegetables, and 1 helping of fruit a day.
The average person produces 9 kilos of fecal matter a week, and that equates to 2 to 3 motions per day. You should effectively produce a motion after every single main meal that you eat. And this is the equivalent of a week's production of fecal matter. So it gives you a representation of just how much should be being produced. When was the last time you had a bowel movement?
About 2 weeks ago.
Well, no wonder you're feeling tired and sluggish. That is going to have to be our #1 priority, because you will not have good health if we don't get your bowels sorted out.
Georgina's diet and inactive lifestyle is taking its toll on the inside of her body. And now the diet doctors want Georgina to face up to the huge strain her weight gain is putting on the outside.
We're going to show you just how much weight you've put on from the food.
Over the past 14 years, Georgina has put on 7 stone or 44.5 kilograms. It's too dangerous to load her up with the equivalent of her full weight gain, so Wendy and Vicky pile on just a quarter of that, 11 kilograms.
Oh my goodness. And can you feel the strain in your joints and your back as you go up there?
Hard.
Yeah.
Really is hard.
What's hard?
Just the heavy weight, just dragging it.
Can you feel anything going on in your body?
Yeah, I'm straining and I'm
Where
out
are
of
you
breath.
straining?
Around my lungs.
And you've got to remember that's only 25% of the total weight that you've put on in the last 14 years.
The full scale of what Georgina's weight gain has done to her body starts to sink in, and now the real work begins. It's time for Vicky to get up close and personal with an external examination.
Right, now looking at the skin. Has this tended to get worse over the last few years, or
Yes.
is it?
I used to have very, very good skin, but over the last few years, I feel that I'm developing a lot of blemishes, spots.
I would say without a doubt that the spots on the skin are due to your diet. You're eating massive amounts of dairy produce and cheese in particular and other highly saturated foods. So this is one of the reasons why these spots are occurring, not to mention your hidden sugars. The stretch marks that you've got here are very typical of stretch marks found in overweight and obese people. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't go away. And particularly in black skin, more than in white skin, there is less elastin. And it's the elastin that allows the skin to shrink back, either after, postnatally or when you've held weight and then you lose it. And unfortunately, the actual stretch marks themselves is not going to go away. I'm going to give you a really up close and personal look at your own toes.
Oh.
These are the feet that are going to carry you around for the rest of your life. And the toenails themselves have actually thickened quite considerably. I usually see this in people who have quite serious problems with their digestion, particularly sort of yeast and fungal infections in the colon and bowel. This is really symptomatic of somebody who's eating the wrong foods over a long period of time, and the balance of good and bad bacteria has become seriously out of balance. Now look at that.
Oh.
No. Well, I've got to tell you, that is guts and digestion. God. And this is serious.
So we've seen the outside, now it's time for Dr. Denning to find out what's causing the symptoms inside Georgina's body.
Big breaths for me.
First, she examines her tongue.
You obviously are tired because the tongue is quite pale, actually.
Next, she checks her stomach.
Feels where you're feeling feels very tender. Yeah.
You know why that is? That's because you're constipated. You've got feces sitting from here, loaded all the way around to here,
It sounds absolutely gorgeous.
which is pretty shocking, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Georgina was diagnosed with eczema on her leg 2 years ago and has been using a steroid cream ever since. But when Wendy examines her, she makes a different diagnosis.
I think what you have is something that we call stasis dermatitis, and what that means is you are getting this dark discoloration of the skin here because the blood is actually sort of staying stagnant in those areas.
Georgina's now swollen and discoloured leg was caused by a previous injury many years earlier. This inflammation's been getting steadily worse because she's been taking no exercise. Finally, because Georgina has asthma, Wendy takes her lung peak flow.
What you made was 420, is that about right for you?
450 normally, but yes.
Do you know what the normal is for a woman of your age?
No, I don't.
It's about 490.
Georgina was diagnosed with asthma 6 years ago and now has to use a Ventolin pump every day to prevent an attack. Adult asthma affects 4.6 million people in the UK and is linked to a variety of causes. But one trigger can be diet. Foods like cheese and dairy products are best avoided as excess mucus produced by those foods can block the airways and aggravate the condition. In Georgina's case, it could be the midnight feasting on pounds of cheese that's causing her asthma, and Wendy wants to investigate further.
You eat a lot of dairy products, and dairy products in general are mucus producing.
Using a special camera, Wendy gives Georgina a better picture of what's going on inside.
Now what you're going to watch here is actually live footage of someone having what we call a bronchoscopy. Now that is where you put a tube down into this main tube here, the bronchus, and you'll see then where it divides into the left and the right. We're going down into the bronchus there. Okay, we're just going to hold it right there. And you can see all this mucus here. Can you see all of that? And that's what's going on in you. You have a lot of mucus going on.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You can really see that clearly, can't you?
Yeah.
So her symptoms, the asthma, the constipation and the swollen leg, are all exacerbated by an appalling lack of activity, and Wendy needs to confront this. Georgina rarely takes any form of exercise, and Wendy suspects she's using her asthma as a convenient excuse for not exercising. So she wants to do a simple home test to find out, the step test.
Okay, off you go.
She steps for 3 minutes at the rate of 24 steps a minute. If after exercise her peak flow drops by over 15%, she has exercise-induced asthma. And after she's finished stepping, Wendy rechecks her lung peak flow.
Excellent, well done. Okay, so it's 400 versus, what was it, 420?
Georgina's lung peak flow has dropped by just under 5%. There's absolutely no excuse for her not exercising.
Okay, they cannot say that you've got asthma, therefore you cannot exercise. All right?
Bingo's that excuse.
I just wanted to remove that particular excuse.
Consultation over, Georgina's test results are back. Her thyroid's normal, so that's not contributing to her tiredness and weight. Her liver is sluggish, and her cholesterol is raised, a symptom of her high-fat diet.
What I want to draw to your attention is if you carry on eating in the way you eat and the way you live your life, you will see that cholesterol go skyrocketing up.
It's for me to change my lifestyle.
Good. Absolutely.
Georgina's action plan is, out with eating 2 breakfasts a day, there are just too many calories, and more than 3 eggs a day is constipating. Out with eating 2 dinners, all tinned foods must go as they're high in sugars and salts. Out with drinking coffee, as this is contributing to her sweating and sleeplessness. Out with cheese and dairy products like milk and ice cream, as they are mucus forming and could be triggering her asthma. Georgina will have a whole new menu to try when she gets home.
The most important thing we have to do is get rid of your constipation. Nothing in your health is going to change if we don't get your bowels moving regularly. We are going to create a concept of sacred eating for you. And the concept there is that you consider that eating is to nurture your body, not to anesthetize your mind. We predict that within a month, you'll have dropped a stone in weight,
Okay.
you'll have dropped a complete dress size,
Great.
you'll be having bowel movements every other day, and you're going to have a lot more energy. After 3 months, you should have dropped 2.5 stone, you'll have dropped 2 dress sizes, and be feeling like a completely different person.
Great. Can't wait.
Georgina Hawes weighs 19.5 stone. 14 years of secret eating has played havoc with her diet and lifestyle. It's left her with adult asthma, clinical obesity and severe constipation. She only has bowel movements every 2 weeks. Now she's turned to the diet doctors for help. After a series of tests and examinations, Vicky and Wendy have drawn up an action plan and put together a fresh food diet for Georgina. If she sticks to the plan, she'll see major results. A typical menu for Georgina is a mixed grain, high-fibre muesli with soya milk for breakfast to get her bowels moving and provide sustained energy throughout the morning. For lunch, homemade soup, packed full of vegetables with lentils and pulses for a lower fat form of protein. When she gets home from work, Georgina eats a small, high-protein snack like nuts or hummus. For the evening, it's chicken with mixed vegetables like butternut squash. And supplements: aloe vera, a natural healing laxative for her bowels, milk thistle to detox her liver, and acidophilus to replace the yeast in her gut. 4 weeks later, and Georgina has managed to stick to the diet plan. As the diet doctors predicted, she's lost 1 stone.
I feel that I've got more energy to do things. I want to do more things. Biggest milestone for me is definitely losing stone in such a short space of time. I'm absolutely amazed at that. I have tried so many diets and a few pounds, maybe even 6 pounds, but never a stone, never a stone. I'm changing my lifestyle at the moment. It's not hard work and it's fun.
Although Georgina's been doing some exercise, it's nowhere near enough. She should be doing the recommended 10,000 steps a day, but she's only averaging 5,600. Unknown to Georgina, Wendy has access to her activity levels online. She's noticed a pattern forming and she's straight on the phone to Georgina.
How you think you've been doing on your steps?
Now, I personally think I've been doing quite well.
Well, what I'd like to point out, having been watching you, is that there really isn't much going on the weekends.
Saturdays, oh my goodness, no. I'd hardly do anything. To the shops and back again.
And why is that?
Just the fact that the week's been so hard in general, and I use the weekend to relax and just to have complete George time and de-stress.
And Georgie time does not include going for a walk?
Georgie time, it can include absolutely anything at all, but going for a walk, not really, no.
It's just there's a bit of a pattern developing here, Georgie.
It is important that we get you moving every day. You do actually have to make your 10,000 steps every day.
I don't really care how you manage it, but you've got to do 10,000 steps a day.
Yes,
Okay, and
all right.
we are watching you, Georgie.
Georgina used to consume large amounts of coffee, sometimes up to 8 cups a day, which played havoc with her diet and lifestyle. So we are going to conduct a high-risk experiment where a healthy volunteer is forced to down large amounts of coffee for 2 weeks. Time to meet our human lab rat.
Hi, I'm James, and I'm this week's Human Lab Rat.
26-year-old James Mead is a fitness addict from Poole in Dorset.
I'm a personal trainer and a gym instructor.
And he's got another string to his bow.
I'm the Southern Area light heavyweight kickboxing champion.
His body is a temple.
I never eat unhealthy food. I eat porridge with seeds, fruit, veg, lean meat and rice. OK, so this is what I'm going to eat for the next 2 weeks. Caffeine addict Georgina Hawes regularly drinks 8 cups of coffee a day. Your challenge for the next 2 weeks is to drink 8 cups of coffee every day on top of your normal diet. Good luck. Oh my God, 8 cups of coffee. I think I'm going to be up all night, twitching.
Caffeine stimulates the central nervous system, temporarily increasing heart rate and metabolism. 6 or more cups a day can cause nervousness, irritability and insomnia.
I never drink this kind of coffee. I'd probably just have a decaf coffee if I had one now and again. I've got to drink 8 cups of these a day, so I better load up.
Although caffeine content varies from brand to brand, James's choice of coffee means that on average, his 8 cups a day for 2 weeks equals nearly 10,000 milligrams of caffeine, the equivalent of 98 litres of fizzy cola. Don't try this at home. Our lab rat's been chosen because he's healthy enough to cope with the demands a caffeine-fueled diet is going to put on his body. We'll find out later just what 8 cups of coffee a day for 2 weeks does for James. While lab rat James prepares for his challenge, 5 weeks into the programme, Georgina returns to the clinic for an update with the diet doctors, and so far things are looking up.
You're looking fabulous, I have to say.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I feel just lighter with my steps. I've got a lot more energy.
How are your bowel movements, Georgie?
Wow.
I'm just wondering, because when you said to me you're feeling lighter, then the first thing I'm thinking is bowel movements.
Wow, bowel movements, did you say? Well, once and sometimes twice a day.
No.
Yes.
From someone that was going once every 2 weeks to once a day, or even twice a day, that is fantastic.
You were holding on to so much stuff in there, and it's toxic. You know, you have to get rid of that.
And weight loss then, if you're really lighter, how much weight have you lost?
A stone, just over a stone lighter.
Brilliant.
It's good news for Georgina, but as she's never stuck to a diet for longer than a month before, the diet doctors set her some new targets. She needs to consistently do 10,000 steps a day and must increase it to 12,000 steps for the final month. And she must up her daily water intake to 3 litres, but not to be taken with meals, as this will dilute her digestive juices. And Vicky's noticed Georgina is consuming large amounts of carbohydrates in her evening meal and not doing enough exercise to burn them off, so she gives her a weight loss tip.
I want you cutting out all carbohydrates with your evening meal, all the starches, okay? So potatoes, bread, pasta, rice does not come into your evening meal. And this is very important for weight loss, because if you're eating carbohydrate or starches with your evening meal and you eat in excess to your bodily needs from an energy point of view, you will store that carbohydrate as fat.
Okay.
While Georgina's left to reflect on her progress, our once healthy human lab rat is ready to start his caffeine-fueled diet. Drinking over 4 cups of coffee a day can cause unwanted side effects.
I've had a splitting headache since this experiment has started. Every day I've got a splitting headache. So I can't wait to get off this stuff and go back onto my green tea.
It's not long before 8 cups a day really starts to get to James.
Coffee, coffee, coffee. Sick of talking about coffee.
It's starting to become my life now, drinking coffee or trying to get the kettle or trying to find a coffee or making a coffee.
I can imagine that people that drink 8 cups of coffee a day probably are addicted to it.
And there's another side effect. He can't relax. Within half an hour of drinking coffee, the flow of blood to the brain is reduced by between 10 and 20%. It stimulates the central nervous system, and the unnatural high after drinking even 1 to 2 cups is usually followed by a depression or low.
I'm in a really, really, really bloody bad mood today. I'm just stressed out and moody about everything today. It's a real rubbish day.
And it's not long before James's coffee-related mood swings start to affect his private life.
Yeah, last night had an argument with my missus. She won't like me saying that, but there you go, I did. Now it might have been because of the coffee. I was a little bit highly stressed, probably a little bit touchy.
Yeah, I've been a bit funny today. Ask my wife. How have I been today, Becky?
Horrible.
No, I haven't. Tell the truth.
Horrible.
By day 11, James is sleeping in the spare room and having to drink beer to get to sleep.
Compared to the coffee I've been drinking, this is it's quite nice. It's sort of too much coffee has sort of killed my taste buds, so this tastes actually a lot better. It's quite bad that I've got to have alcohol to help me sleep because I've been buzzing all day because of coffee. So I think if I was doing it all the time, I'd probably be addicted to alcohol and coffee. So it's not a good way to live your life.
If you drink coffee before going to bed at night and think it doesn't affect your sleep, don't be fooled. Caffeine remains in the body for many hours after drinking it. If you drink a large cup of coffee containing 200 milligrams of caffeine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 hours later you will still have 50 milligrams in your system. Even though you may be able to sleep, the nervous system is too stimulated to allow deep or restful sleep.
I think it's a never-ending circle. I seem to be so tired because I'm not sleeping very well. I'm having coffee before I go to bed and I'm not sleeping very well. So to solve it, in the morning when I wake up, I drink my coffee and I don't get good night's sleep. I wake up and I do the same again. So it's a vicious circle. I need the coffee to keep myself awake, but the coffee is stopping me from sleeping.
8 cups of coffee a day for a fortnight, nearly 10,000 milligrams of caffeine, has left James a nervous wreck.
I feel like my eye is twitching slightly. It's kind of, I think I'm on edge. I've had enough of it, to be honest. I just want to be in control of my own brains.
By the end of the experiment, James is psychologically battered. Time to find out what changes his caffeine diet has caused physically. And remember, over the 2 weeks, his normal diet and exercise routine stayed the same. His heart rate has increased from 73 beats per minute to 83, due to the adrenaline rushing round his body. He's put on 2 inches around his waist, a result of his nighttime high-calorie beer drinking. And although caffeine is not calorific, surprisingly, James's weight has gone up by 3 pounds. It's now 2 months into Georgina's diet and exercise program, and over that time, she's transformed.
This George doesn't recognise the old George. Even in the photographs, I don't recognise the old George. That feeling has completely gone. I feel new, completely new, like I've been remade from scratch.
14 years of severe constipation is over, and Georgina now has regular bowel movements. She's keen to try a new treatment, colon hydrotherapy. The diet doctors don't recommend colonic therapy in their practices, but Georgina is concerned that old, stagnant waste may still be backed up in her intestines and wants to give it a try. Her treatment's an internal detoxification that's been around since 1500 BC. In a 45-minute session, approximately 15 gallons of water is used to gently flush the colon, helping to dislodge compacted feces, gases, toxins and mucus.
I can feel a sort of little bit of build-up in different areas of your abdomen.
Through appropriate use of massage and pressure points, the therapist is able to work loose and eliminate toxic waste.
How does this feel? Okay?
It's fine, thank you.
Fine, all right.
And after 15 minutes of massage for Georgina, there's finally a result.
I can see coming out a tiny little pebble which was just stuck somewhere inside your bowel, so that has moved now and it came out.
Oh my goodness.
The bowel can retain up to 20 pounds of matter.
That's better. Oh, that's nice. Lots of little pebbles, Georgina.
Treatment over, a lighter George has been cleansed.
I feel great, actually. I've come away with a lot of good advice. I want to go back and do it again, which is really strange. But the whole process was amazing. It really was.
Over 3 months, Georgina's health has changed dramatically. She's got one final session at the clinic, but before she arrives, Vicky and Wendy take a look at just how far she's come.
Let's check out that tongue.
So this is clearly the before. You can see here how bad her digestion was. I mean, this is a tongue of someone who's quite constipated. Do you remember she couldn't even go for 2 weeks?
I know, awful. Oh, well, you could write your name in that. Not that I would want to go near it. Let's see how she's done now. Oh, wow!
Wow, now that is amazing. This is not the thick coating of someone with a serious digestion problem.
I would actually say that's one of the most marked improvements in a 12-week period I have ever seen.
I think it's fabulous. Okay, what's next?
Legs.
Legs. She had quite a bad condition on this leg. She had this what we call stasis dermatitis, caused by having had a previous injury in this leg, compounded by complete lack of exercise.
Well, and very swollen ankle. I mean, look. Okay, well, let's see how well she did. Because she wasn't exercising before. Wow.
And that is better. Now that I'm really pleased with. You can see it actually on both legs. Quite a bit of change in the discoloration of the leg.
Well, and you can actually see from the other leg there's more tone. She clearly has been exercising. Even if she's only been walking, she's got much better tone in the leg and the ankles are less swollen.
Okay. I remember when we first looked at this one, we were struck by how many stretch marks she had.
Yeah,
I mean,
everywhere
there are stretch marks.
So should we see with the weight loss what has occurred? Wow, that's actually quite well improved.
That is a good improvement. I mean, you can still see the stretch marks here, and unfortunately, they're not likely to go.
But look how much weight she's lost. I mean, this was overhanging in the previous
literally.
picture.
And even actually in the
the thighs.
they were sort of much closer together, sort of overlapping on top of each other.
Well, if we just go back for a second, I mean, look, you actually can't even see the pant line because they've got such an overhang here.
Yeah, it looks like she's lost quite a bit of weight. So, from that point of view, I'm really excited to meet up with her.
Me too.
Coming up, the transformed Georgina Hawes is revealed. And Vicky and Wendy announce her results.
Fantastic!
To find out more about the series, log on to 5.tv/Diet Doctors. 3 months ago, 39-year-old Georgina Hawes was a dress size 26 and weighed 19.5 stone. 14 years of overeating in secret, combined with a dangerously inactive lifestyle, had left her with adult asthma, swollen legs and severe constipation. In desperation, she turned to the diet doctors for help and her life has been transformed. It's now been 6 weeks since Vicky and Wendy last met Georgina, and they've asked her to come with no makeup to see her results more clearly.
Aren't you great? You look wonderful.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Cool, I can barely see you.
Where's it all gone? I left it at home. This is a transformation.
It is a transformation.
I
can literally see everything going in and out in the right places now.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic! You look fabulous. Take a seat. We're going to find out how you are.
And they want to know how she's been coping with her new regime.
I can tell you now that we weren't sure whether you'd be able to do it at all, because we really weren't sure if you were going to be able to bite the bullet and go for it. Yeah. And obviously there were a lot of psychological issues around hiding things, not telling your husband you were having a second breakfast, for example, and second dinner. Yeah. And we were worried. Yeah. You have surpassed anything that we could have expected.
Now, you also had breathing difficulties, didn't you?
Yes.
I mean, in fact, you've been diagnosed with asthma.
Well, I haven't used my pump since we last met, and what's happened is whenever I take my peak flow, because I do it just to make sure that I'm fine, it's getting higher and higher and higher.
Is it? So what's it registering at now?
Last week it was 480.
So now they want to carry out some tests to see just how much Georgina's health has improved. And there's some impressive results. Her lung peak flow has increased from 420 to 480. Her blood pressure is down from 140/80 to 130/70. Georgina's heart rate after exercise is down from 130 beats per minute to 104. She's much fitter. But the best news comes when Georgina steps on the scales. Before she came to the diet doctors, she weighed in at 19 stone 7 pounds.
Fantastic!
That is really great.
17 stone, 10 pounds.
That is fantastic.
That's almost 2 stones.
I know, in such a short space of time.
Fabulous.
Can't believe it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Although her clothes are now feeling much looser, she hasn't measured herself for 3 months.
Now, do you remember what you were?
No.
Okay, your bust size was 50 inches and it's now down to 48.
Great.
Your waist was 46 and it's now 44, so dropping away. And your hips were 51.5 and they're now 48.5. So you've lost 3 inches off your hips, which is fantastic.
Oh my God.
And all that translates to a drop in 3 dress sizes, from a size 26 to a 20.
That's where I saw the change.
Absolutely.
Was really on the hips.
Georgina's come a long way. 3 months ago, she was in trouble, only having bowel movements every 2 weeks and eating huge amounts of food in secret. She's got her health, happiness and confidence back. She's worked hard, and it's time to give the new Georgina Hawes the look she deserves.
It's exciting, so we'll see what the end result is. I was thinking more Mohican. Blonde.
Hey, we can go Mohican if you want, mate.
The final touches are being added to a long process of transformation, and the diet doctors can't wait to see the results.
I am really looking forward to seeing her because she just looked fantastic.
Anyway,
look at you, girl.
You look gorgeous.
You look fantastic.
Girl.
Your hair looks gorgeous and you look so sexy.
Are you pleased with it?
I can't tell you how I feel.
Oh, bless.
3 months ago, Vicky and Wendy found Georgina unhappy and extremely overweight. She'd spent 14 years overeating in secret. With the diet doctor's help, she's got her health back on track, and the transformation is extraordinary. So, as a reminder of how good she can look and an incentive to never return to her old bad habits, she gets a photo shoot.